Welcome the anointed ones. Everybody wants to be chosen until they see what it costs. That's not just a quote. It's a beacon illuminating the path less traveled. You see people admire your gifts, your radiance, and the unwavering strength you project. But brace yourselves for a stark revelation. They don't yearn for the pain, the relentless temptations, or the countless sleepless nights etched into your journey. They crave the spotlight's warmth, but not the tempestuous storms that forged you. They covet the rewards, but shrink from the receipts meticulously itemized with sacrifice. Psychological studies reveal a fundamental human tendency to desire what we see, often neglecting the arduous price tag concealed beneath the surface. It's akin to a child's fleeting infatuation with ice cream, only to relinquish it after a mere 2 bites. The sweetness is alluring, but the ensuing discomfort was conveniently omitted from the preview. That's precisely how many perceive your gifts. They clamor for the honey without enduring the sting, the triumph without weathering the trial. And truth be told, moments arise when you yearn to relinquish your mantle to trade places with those seemingly untouched by adversity. They perceive your power as a silver platter offering oblivious to the divine crucible of fire, wilderness, and betrayal through which you were tempered. It's a twisted irony. People seek your wisdom yet would have faltered at the first whisper of suffering. They envy your destination but would have succumbed to exhaustion halfway through the arduous wilderness trek. This, my friends, is the enigma of the chosen. The world lusts after your gifts, yet God safeguarded them by encoding them with suffering as the impenetrable password. And mark my words, the masses lack the resolve to decipher that password. Stay with me, for what I am about to unveil will irrevocably alter your perception of your own life. Your pain was not an exercise in futility. Your temptations were not random acts of malice, and your suffering was not a divine decree of punishment. It was the indispensable key that unlocked the very gifts that define you. And the most astonishing truth, those who desire what you possess will never endure where you have been. Firstly, they crave the crown but recoil from the cross. They want the crown but refuse the cross. This statement resonates with profound truth, exposing a reality often conveniently ignored. Humanity inherently desires to appear powerful, admired, and invulnerable. When they gaze upon someone like you, chosen and blessed, their focus is solely on the luminous exterior. They yearn for the influence, the unwavering respect, the profound wisdom, and the boundless opportunities that now permeate your life. But here's the pivotal detail they overlook. These blessings did not materialize from thin air. They were painstakingly forged through a crucible of pain that others vehemently avoided. The cross represents the immense weight you bore when faith was your sole companion. It embodies the stinging rejection, the agonizing betrayal, the silent battles waged where surrender seemed the only viable option. The cross represents the sleepless nights consumed by doubt, questioning the apparent injustice of life, while others seemingly glided through effortlessly. It encompasses the temptations that threatened to consume you, the setbacks that ignited the urge to abandon your path, the ridicule that chipped away at your confidence, and the all-consuming loneliness that gnawed at your very soul. This is the excruciating reality people refuse to acknowledge. The crown, however, symbolizes the undeniable evidence of survival. It is the clarity you attained after being stripped of all illusions. It is the unwavering resilience that blossomed from the seeds of countless heartbreaks. It is the profound depth of your spirit cultivated solely through wrestling with the abyss of darkness and resolutely choosing the path of light. People marvel at your strength, yet actively avoid acknowledging the immense cross you carried to attain it. There exists a profound irony in this dichotomy. The very qualities they envy are inextricably linked to the suffering they so diligently evade. They yearn for reward without risk power, without the demanding process, and blessing without the commensurate burden. But in God's grand design, the crown is not a trinket handed out indiscriminately. It is the sacred inheritance reserved for those who steadfastly carried their cross and refused to succumb to its weight. This is the reason you are fundamentally unreplicable. They may attempt to imitate your words, your style, or even your carefully cultivated faith, but they can never duplicate the map of scars etched upon your soul. And it is precisely those scars that gave birth to your intrinsic authority. The crown is rendered meaningless without the cross. Devoid of the cross, it is merely a gaudy ornament. But when coupled with the cross, it transforms into a powerful testament. Therefore, allow them to lust after your crown. Allow them to admire it, even covet it. But they will never comprehend that its brilliance is a direct consequence of the blood you shed to earn it. And only those who have endured the agonizing weight of the cross are truly worthy to wear the crown. Secondly, your suffering is not a curse. It is a divine initiation. Your suffering is not a curse. It is a sacred initiation. This truth is particularly difficult to embrace, as suffering often masquerades as punishment. It feels as though you have been singled out for misfortune, abandoned, while others effortlessly navigate their paths. But what appears to be cruelty is in reality rigorous training. Every painful season in your life served as God's method of stripping away that which could not endure, preparing your spirit to bear the very gifts you now wield. Reflect upon this. How would you have acquired your current wisdom without experiencing the sting of betrayal, teaching you the true nature of humanity? How would you have cultivated unwavering endurance if life had consistently showered you with comfort instead of struggle? How would your faith have become unshakable if it had never been tested in the crucible of fire? What others dismiss as unfair or unlucky was in actuality the divine process of initiation, granting you access to a level of understanding that remains elusive to most. This is precisely why you possess the ability to penetrate facades with ease. It is not due to inherent suspicion, but rather because pain has honed your perception to discern truth from illusion. It is why you exude an unyielding resilience that defies explanation. Your soul has been meticulously conditioned through suffering to bend without breaking. This conditioning was not arbitrary. It was orchestrated with divine precision. God did not curse you. He introduced you to the depths of your own being, to the unyielding strength residing within you, to your ultimate calling through the portal of suffering. The reason others covet your gifts yet cannot attain them is because they vehemently reject this portal. They erroneously believe that gifts are acquired through inheritance, shortcuts, or imitation. But divine gifts do not simply fall into your lap. They are initiated through a series of trials. The sleepless nights haunted by doubt, the heartbreaks that threatened to shatter you, the failures that exposed your vulnerabilities, and the temptations that nearly consumed you entirely. Each trial served as a sacred rite of passage, propelling you deeper into your divine assignment. Here lies the raw truth. Suffering is a language understood solely by those who have endured it. And once you have been initiated into this profound language, your very presence carries an undeniable weight. Others may possess mere information, but you radiate revelation because your lessons were not gleaned from textbooks. They were indelibly etched into your spirit. Therefore, your suffering was not random, nor was it a malevolent curse. It was tangible evidence of your divine selection. Others sought the gift. God granted them ease. But He offered you suffering instead, knowing that only you possessed the alchemical ability to transform pain into unparalleled power. That was your initiation, and it is why your gift remains unshakable. Thirdly, they mistake the fruit for the soil. They fixate on the fruit, overlooking the indispensable soil. That is the fundamental flaw in their perception. When they observe your life, they focus solely on the tangible results. They witness you standing tall, speaking with unwavering wisdom and moving with unshakable confidence, and erroneously assume that this is the complete narrative. They fixate on the fruit, the visible manifestation, and conveniently disregard the crucial elements required for its cultivation. But fruit does not spontaneously generate from thin air. It requires fertile soil to nourish its growth. And your soil was anything but ordinary. It was meticulously watered with your tears, richly fertilized with your unrelenting struggles, and deliberately hardened through battles that others vehemently avoided. The unvarnished truth is that people desire the bountiful fruit of your life without enduring the grueling labor required to cultivate the dirt that birthed it. They yearn for the desired outcomes without investing in the necessary process, the sweetness without acknowledging the preceding bitterness. They seek your tranquility without understanding the countless nights you wrestled with the relentless grip of anxiety. They desire your wisdom without enduring the betrayal that forced you to evolve. They crave your resilience without weathering the formidable storms that molded you into an unyielding force. They naively believe that the fruit can be readily snatched, copied, or conveniently borrowed. But they fail to recognize that fruit severed from its nurturing soil rapidly deteriorates. It may appear momentarily vibrant, but it quickly rots from within. This is precisely why individuals who attempt to steal your essence or mimic your unique gift inevitably falter. They may parrot your words, but they lack the gravitas to imbue them with genuine meaning. They may adopt your style, but they cannot radiate the authentic spirit that emanates from within you. They may mimic your actions, but they can never replicate the unique composition of your soil. The soil is the wellspring of true power, and your soil was meticulously cultivated by the relentless trials of pain. It encompasses the seasons when you were buried, rendered unseen, and profoundly misunderstood. It encompasses the harrowing tests and temptations that nearly shattered you. but ultimately forged you into an even stronger being. Your abundant fruit today stands as a testament to the tribulations you endured in silence. The soil meticulously recorded every detail of your journey, data inaccessible to any other being. And the poignant irony is that those who envy the lusciousness of your fruit would have recoiled from the arduous labor of cultivating the soil. They would have surrendered at the first sign of adversity. They would have cursed God and abandoned the process altogether. They would never have possessed the fortitude to endure what you did, which is why they will never wield the same transformative power. Therefore, allow them to persist in mistaking the fruit for the soil. Allow them to believe that your success was easily attained, effortless, or instantaneous. You know the irrefutable truth. Your fruit is exceptionally rare because your soil was sacred, and that is something they can never steal or replicate. Fourthly, they want the glory but not the groaning. They crave the resounding glory but balk at the agonizing groaning that precedes it. That is the unspoken truth that people conveniently disregard when they observe you. They admire the indomitable strength you exude, the inherent grace that accompanies your every move, and the innate ability to rise above every challenge designed to dismantle you. And they desire to possess that same triumphant narrative. They yearn for the thunderous applause, the unwavering recognition, and the fleeting moments when you stand resplendently tall, commanding the admiration of the masses for your extraordinary resilience. But they remain blissfully ignorant of the countless nights you groaned so profoundly that your chest felt as though it would implode. They are unaware of the torrents of tears that left your eyes swollen and inflamed, the desperate prayers that seemed to vanish into the ether, and the crushing weight that nearly suffocated your very existence. Those agonizing groans were not indicators of weakness. They were the unmistakable labor pains preceding a monumental birth. Every desperate sob, every heart-rending cry of anguish, every silent plea to the heavens represented the sacred process of something extraordinary being birthed within you. The transformative gifts you now possess were not bestowed upon you effortlessly. They emerged through a crucible of agony that shattered your previous self. Your profound wisdom, your unwavering inner peace, your unyielding strength, none of these invaluable attributes were acquired freely. They were meticulously purchased in the groaning and the moments when words proved inadequate, and your spirit was compelled to communicate through cries too profound to be articulated. But the world gravitates towards the captivating allure of glory. They embrace the polished final product, the meticulously curated version of your personal narrative. They revel in the radiant glow that follows the dissipating storm clouds, but vehemently despise enduring the tempest itself. They mistakenly believe that they can attain the same coveted crown by merely replicating your outward shine, failing to comprehend that the groaning served as the essential currency required to procure it. Without the agonizing groaning, there would be no magnificent glory. Without the searing anguish, there would be no semblance of legitimate authority. This is the fundamental reason why so many individuals admire what you have attained, yet inevitably fail to sustain it. They yearn for the intoxicating applause, but recoil from the excruciating agony that carved it into the very depths of your soul. They seek the compelling testimony but vehemently reject the agonizing test that preceded it. They desire the desirable outcome but refuse to invest in the challenging process required to achieve it. But the unassailable truth remains that the groaning is the crucible that forges authenticity. It is the indispensable element that enables your words to resonate more deeply, that infuses your presence with undeniable weight, and that renders your gifts impervious to replication. Therefore, let them relentlessly pursue the fleeting allure of glory if they so choose. They will never truly understand that the secret behind your enduring shine lies in the agonizing groaning they never witnessed, the profound anguish they never perceived, and the shattering breaking that only you were strong enough to endure. And that is the immutable reason why your glory remains untouchable. It was painstakingly birthed in the sacred labor room of pain. Fifthly, God didn't just give you gifts, He assigned you wounds as teachers. God did not merely bestow gifts upon you. He deliberately assigned you wounds to serve as invaluable teachers. This profound truth cuts deeply because it unveils the reason why your wisdom carries a weight that others can never hope to imitate. The very wounds that once threatened to annihilate you, the ones that left you gasping for air and clinging desperately to the remnants of your strength, ultimately transformed into the very classrooms where you learned invaluable lessons that no book, no mentor, no easy path could have ever provided. You were not merely presented with information, you were meticulously instructed by pain itself. Each unique wound left behind an indelible scar, and each hard-earned scar blossomed into a unique language of its own. You mastered the complex language of betrayal by enduring the sharp sting of being stabbed in the back by those you once held in the highest regard. You became fluent in the art of unwavering endurance by simply surviving countless nights when you genuinely believed you would not see the dawn. You cultivated the invaluable language of discernment by being deceived so convincingly that it compelled you to sharpen your perceptions beyond the limitations of mere words. These profound wounds were not random occurrences, they were purposefully assigned divine assignments. They were meticulously tailored experiences designed to shape your soul into a precise instrument capable of wielding your gifts with unwavering skill. People are naturally drawn to your clarity, your wisdom, and your innate depth. But they seek to attain these qualities without paying the exorbitant tuition fee of intense suffering. They desire to master the language but recoil from the scorching fire that forged it into your very bones. They long to deliver the compelling testimony but vehemently reject the arduous trial that is an absolute prerequisite. But the agonizing trial is the only conceivable means by which the transformative testimony can ever come into existence. Devoid of those meticulously cultivated wounds, your carefully chosen words would ring hollow. Absent the pain that seared its mark upon your being, your presence would lack the authentic authority it now undeniably commands. The sublime beauty of this seemingly paradoxical truth lies in this: your wounds did not diminish you. They elevated you to unforeseen heights. They trained you in a manner that the fleeting embrace of success never could have accomplished. Success often fosters arrogance and pride, while wounds instill humility and profound empathy. Success can garner fleeting admiration, while wounds forge a profound connection with the very essence of humanity. That is the underlying reason why others perceive something distinctly different when you speak or when you move. It is not merely raw talent at play. It is the unadulterated truth intricately etched into the resilient fabric of your scar tissue. Therefore, allow them to relentlessly desire your awe-inspiring gift. Allow them to envy the effortless grace with which you carry yourself. What they will never fully grasp is that the very reason your gifts are so exceptionally rare is because they were painstakingly birthed out of wounds that they would never possess the strength to survive. Your scars serve as an irrefutable certificate of merit. Your pain stands as undeniable proof of your unwavering commitment, and that is precisely why you now walk in a realm of sacred knowledge that they can never hope to steal. It was painstakingly written in your own precious blood. Sixthly, they see power but don't see the death behind it. They marvel at the outward display of your incredible power but fail to acknowledge the profound death that preceded it. People admire the unyielding strength you exude, the inherent authority woven into your presence, the compelling manner in which your words carry such profound weight. But they conveniently disregard the immeasurable cost you paid to acquire these attributes. Every exceptional gift you possess today was not cultivated in an environment of carefree comfort. It was meticulously birthed in the crucible of profound death. Some integral part of you had to be deliberately buried in order to facilitate the emergence of something infinitely greater. What they perceive as power is not the byproduct of effortless ease, but rather the direct result of agonizing crucifixion. There was the inevitable death of the unyielding ego, the devastating moments when life humbled you so profoundly that pride had no other recourse but to capitulate. You were relentlessly thrust into situations where your personal reputation, your tireless efforts, and your inherent strength were rendered utterly meaningless. You eventually learned that true survival did not stem from self-aggrandizement, but rather from unwavering surrender to a divine purpose. There was the excruciating death of corrosive pride, the countless humiliations, the stinging rejections, the times you were deliberately overlooked or grossly underestimated, until you ultimately understood that the validation of others could never define your intrinsic worth. And there was the agonizing death of comforting familiarity, the tumultuous seasons where you tragically lost that which provided you with a sense of stability and security. The times when God deliberately removed you from the perceived safety of your comfort zone in order to compel you to embrace the arduous path of what was absolutely necessary. What people now witness is the miraculous manifestation of resurrection. They see the resilient version of yourself that emerged from the very graves others assumed would forever confine you. They fail to grasp that your radiant light originates from traversing the darkest depths and willingly dying to the person you once believed yourself to be. Resurrection is never bestowed freely. It relentlessly demands a preceding crucifixion. It mandates the utter demise of the person you erroneously believed yourself to be, so that the person you were truly destined to become can finally emerge. That is precisely why when others attempt to imitate you, it never resonates with the same intensity and transformative power. They crave the outward appearance of your unyielding power without enduring the necessary deaths that birthed it. They yearn for the triumphant resurrection narrative without bearing the heavy cross that made it an absolute necessity. But resurrection is not something that can be readily faked or easily imitated. It exudes an unmistakable fragrance of authenticity that can only be acquired through traversing the perilous valley of death and ultimately rising again. Therefore, when they witness the undeniable power that emanates from you, let them marvel in awe. Let them succumb to envy if they so choose. What they are truly witnessing is not mere strength, but the unwavering spirit of ultimate survival, not merely raw authority, but triumphant ascension. You stand as irrefutable living proof that something inherent must willingly die before something magnificent can truly live. That is the elusive secret that they will never fully grasp. Your remarkable power is not a commodity that can be borrowed or stolen. It is a miraculous force that has been painstakingly resurrected. Seventhly, they want the oil but not the crushing. They desire the sacred oil but vehemently reject the excruciating crushing required to extract it. People admire your divine anointing, the innate grace that envelops you, and the seemingly effortless manner in which doors of opportunity swing open for you while remaining stubbornly shut for others. They erroneously attribute these blessings to mere luck, unearned favoritism, or some hidden advantage. But they fail to comprehend that precious oil never flows without the application of immense pressure. Your divine anointing did not materialize as a gentle, unearned blessing. It was painfully pressed out of you through agonizing seasons of bearing unbearable weight. You did not spontaneously awaken one morning brimming with profound wisdom and unyielding authority. You were relentlessly crushed into it through a series of agonizing trials. The crushing constituted the agonizing betrayals that left you utterly shattered. It encompassed the demoralizing failure that stripped away your cherished self-confidence. It included the seemingly endless dark nights when you desperately begged for relief from the torment only to have your pleas seemingly ignored. It encompassed the devastating moments when life relentlessly pressed down upon you with such ferocity that you genuinely believed you would not survive the ordeal. And yet, paradoxically, within those very moments of agonizing breaking, something profoundly holy was being meticulously released. The immense weight that threatened to completely destroy you was simultaneously the force that squeezed the divine oil from the very core of your being. That is the excruciating aspect that others vehemently avoid. They yearn for the coveted oil because it shines with captivating brilliance, because it exudes persuasive influence, and because it relentlessly draws attention to its unique properties. But they steadfastly reject the associated crushing because crushing inherently entails pain, immense loss, and ultimate surrender. Crushing represents the agonizing process that strips you bare of all illusions, leaving you with nothing but the unvarnished truth. Crushing is what ruthlessly eliminates the comforting familiarity of the known, thereby facilitating the transformative birth of purpose. Devoid of the excruciating crushing, there can be no flow of sacred oil. Devoid of the immense weight, there can be no transformative flow. And here lies the profound truth: oil cannot be readily faked or easily counterfeited. One may attempt to mimic your distinctive style, imitate your unique voice or even plagiarize your carefully cultivated knowledge. But they can never hope to replicate the unquantifiable essence of the sacred oil. Oil exudes a unique fragrance of inherent authenticity that can only be acquired through being relentlessly pressed by the scorching fire of adversity. The tempestuous storms of life and the devastating heartbreaks that test the very limits of human endurance. That is why when you move with divine purpose, others instinctively feel it resonating within them. It is not a mere performance devoid of substance, it is the undeniable manifestation of a palpable presence. Therefore, when they succumb to the insidious grip of envy as they witness your sacred oil, remember this fundamental truth. They envy the desired result, not the grueling process that preceded it. They crave the visible flow that emanates from you now. But they would have inevitably surrendered under the immense pressure of the excruciating crushing that was absolutely necessary to produce it. What they erroneously perceive as unearned favor is in reality the unwavering spirit of triumphant survival. What they mistakenly attribute to mere blessing is in its truest form the tangible manifestation of enduring resilience. Your anointing with sacred oil cost you absolutely everything, and that exorbitant price is precisely what renders it utterly untouchable. The agonizing crushing was the crucible that meticulously forged you into the magnificent being you are today. And that is the immutable reason why your divine anointing remains eternally potent. Eighthly, your pain was not random. It was meticulously sculpted for divine precision. Your pain was not a matter of mere chance. It was deliberately sculpted for unparalleled precision. This profound truth is inherently uncomfortable because pain often manifests as unpredictable chaos, a punitive measure, or life spiraling uncontrollably out of our grasp. But what outwardly appeared to be wanton destruction was in actuality meticulously calculated divine design. Every devastating heartbreak, every agonizing betrayal, every stinging rejection was not devoid of purpose. It was strategically surgical. God was actively chiseling away at the parts of your being that were incompatible with your divinely ordained purpose, meticulously shaping you into an indispensable tool capable of fulfilling your ultimate calling. Reflect upon the searing sting of rejection. It inflicted immense pain, leaving you feeling undeniably unwanted and fundamentally unworthy. But rejection was never about inherent inadequacy. It was always a calculated act of divine redirection. Every door that vehemently slammed shut in your face was not a random act of chaos. It was a calculated instance of deliberate carving. It was a purposeful act of removing you from individuals, locations, and predetermined paths that were simply incapable of handling the magnificent weight of your extraordinary gift. Then came the agonizing sting of betrayal. Painful without a doubt, but betrayal stripped away your naive innocence. It gifted you with a heightened sense of discernment that no textbook could ever hope to impart. It taught you to discern tone and motive beyond the mere words spoken, to feel the underlying energy behind carefully crafted smiles. That was not random happenstance. It was a carefully designed act of precision, and the all-consuming heartbreak that inevitably followed. That was the most excruciating cut of all. It mercilessly broke you open, not with the intent to destroy you, but to carve out a sacred space where profound empathy and unwavering compassion could readily flourish. Absent the transformative experience of heartbreak, you would inevitably lack the profound depth required to truly connect with others, to effectively heal their wounded spirits, or to speak with the unwavering authority that accompanies true understanding. Heartbreak imbued your every carefully chosen word with an undeniable authenticity that resonates with the masses. This is precisely why your gift resonates with such extraordinary accuracy and resonates with such a profound impact. It is not merely the fact that you managed to survive unspeakable suffering. It is that you were deliberately sculpted by it. Your pain meticulously refined your innate perception, sharpened your intuitive spirit, and ruthlessly trimmed away all lingering illusions. Every surgical cut had a distinct purpose. Every devastating loss had a carefully designed function. You are not simply bearing random meaningless scars. You are carrying meticulously crafted marks of divine design. People are naturally drawn to the tool you have become. You operating in an environment of profound clarity, unyielding wisdom, and indomitable strength. But they vehemently reject the painful chiseling required to bring it into existence. They recoil from the agonizing shaping that relentlessly scraped away at lingering comfort, inflated pride, and cherished illusions. They yearn for the exquisite masterpiece without enduring the agonizing process of the sculptor's sharp blade. But the blade is what imbued you with the precision you so effortlessly display. Therefore, your pain was not senselessly wasted. It was not a cruel stroke of bad luck, and it was certainly not a manifestation of meaningless suffering. It was an integral part of the transformative process of divine sculpting. What now manifests as seemingly effortless power within you was diligently purchased with the painful surgical cuts of the past. You now stand sharp and resolute because you were deliberately shaped. And that unique shaping is something that no one can ever steal or replicate, because they would lack the fortitude to survive the intense chiseling that created it. Ninthly, they want access without atonement. They crave unfettered access without undergoing the necessary atonement. That is the concealed truth that underpins why so many relentlessly envy what you possess but can never truly hold or wield it. People witness your unyielding strength, your profound wisdom, your unparalleled clarity, and they mistakenly assume that these qualities are something they can easily step into, as if it were a vacant position to be readily claimed or a prestigious title to be conveniently borrowed. But what they fail to recognize is that your divine gift is not entirely unguarded or unprotected. It is diligently shielded by the very pain that they mock, actively avoid, and vehemently despise. Your extended seasons of suffering were not solely about the act of mere survival. They were about enduring a cleansing fire designed to refine your very essence. Every agonizing betrayal you endured, every devastating heartbreak you meticulously carried, every season of crippling lack and humiliating rejection served to burn away the parts of you that were no longer aligned with your divinely ordained purpose. Inherent pride was reduced to ashes. The inflated ego was ruthlessly extinguished, and the naive attachments that once defined you were irrevocably consumed. That transformative fire purified you, thereby enabling your exceptional gift to flow unimpeded, free from any contamination. Devoid of that painful but essential cleansing, the magnificent gift would have inevitably been mishandled or catastrophically misused. That is precisely why God did not effortlessly bestow it upon you. He purposefully thrust it into your capable hands amidst the searing flames because fire inherently reveals who can be truly trusted with immense power. This is precisely where the vital concept of atonement comes into play. Atonement is not predicated upon attaining flawlessness. It is about undergoing the meticulous process of purification. You are inevitably purified through the relentless trials of pain, through the crucible of excruciating tests, through the seductive allure of temptations that relentlessly compel you to choose unwavering integrity over convenient compromise. You bled profusely for the unhindered access you now possess. You suffered immensely for the profound authority you now wield, and that agonizing suffering served as your indispensable act of atonement. It is what ultimately granted you the inherent right to stand resolutely in the unique position you now occupy. Those who naively seek to bypass that indispensable process erroneously believe that they can simply steal your coveted place. Conveniently copy your transformative ways or flawlessly imitate your mesmerizing presence. But they are profoundly mistaken, for they fail to comprehend that without undergoing the excruciating act of atonement, their grasping hands will inevitably be burned when they dare to touch what you have been divinely entrusted to carry. They may be able to mimic your well-chosen words, but they will inevitably choke under the immense weight of the true meaning. They may attempt to borrow your meticulously crafted style, but they will ultimately lack the internal fire required to sustain it. They may desperately attempt to gain the sought-after access, but without undergoing the indispensable cleansing, they will inevitably collapse under the weight of that which you have been meticulously purified to responsibly handle. This is precisely what renders you utterly untouchable. Your magnificent gift is not only sealed by divine favor, but is further fortified by the exorbitant price you willingly paid in agonizing pain. The devastating suffering that they so vehemently despised was the very mechanism that locked your exceptional gift away from the clutches of counterfeit hands. So to bring it all together, what we've explored is this: the path to becoming who you're truly meant to be isn't always easy. The gifts you possess, the strength you radiate, they're often forged in the fires of adversity. Don't let anyone minimize your journey or make you feel guilty for the trials you've overcome. Your pain wasn't random. It was a sacred initiation, a meticulous sculpting that prepared you for something extraordinary. Embrace your scars, for they are the map of your resilience, the testament to your unique and powerful story. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What resonates with you the most? Have you experienced this dynamic in your own life? Share your stories. Ask your questions. Let's create a space for understanding and encouragement in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, please subscribe. That way you won't miss out on future insights, discussions, and maybe even a little bit of inspiration to help you navigate your own incredible path. Thanks for being here. For being here, for being here, for being here, for being here, for being here.